Hello again, beautiful souls. I wanted to share something that I have been reading and going through, and I thought this topic was so incredibly fitting today. So, it's called To Live Out Loud. And first, I'm just going to share a little bit. I wish this would cooperate better. A little bit from the Book of Awakening by Mark Nepo. This is kind of a series that I'm starting to do. And there's just so many gold nuggets in here that I don't want to keep all to myself. So I'm going to read from that first, and then I'll share a little bit of my insight and reflection on it, how it's affected me. So, and this just, it's really interesting. I believe in synchronicity and messages repeating themselves that maybe we need to hear or pay more attention to. And this has been coming up so often for me. So I definitely wanted to highlight that a little bit and also share a little bit about how I am walking this out in my own life. So to live out loud, Emile Zola says, "We are here to live out loud. Early on, we know enough to cry and sound our way into the world. This is the primary purpose of voicing ourselves. Whatever comes out becomes a lifeline, a vein of expression by which we affirm, again and again, that we are vital, a quickening part of all the majesty and variety of life. But soon, perhaps in school or at home, or when first venturing after a sense of love, we somehow think is not within us. Too soon, we start believing that we cry and sound in order to be heard, and everything changes. Then we become anxious to be received, to be accepted, and approved. But imagine if birds only sang when heard, if musicians only played when approved of, if poets only spoke when understood. There have been many times I've struggled through the expectation and disapproval of others to re-find my voice and rejoice as a living piece of things. Certainly, there is a particular joy and nourishment in being heard, but I have come to realize that sounding my way into the world to express who I am must always come first. Since wanting to be thought well of never goes away, I always have to keep the reactions of others at bay long enough for my voice to make it to the light. I must tell you of an old man I know who came here from Italy. He spent his life working as a plumber. He is a good, sweet man, and when he laughs, which is often, he cries, no matter who's around or whether or not anyone understands. He keeps his pipes clean. He lives out loud. Unknowingly, he has shown me how to love the world. And the reflective pieces, action pieces for this are to go outside if you can and listen to the birds. Hear the clearness of their song. Note how there seems to be nothing between their impulse to sing and what they sing. As you breathe, note what you are feeling and note whatever hesitation keeps you from sounding it out loud. This is a human malady. Work on removing your human hesitation. As you inhale, feel what rises in you. At the top of your breath, blink the mind shut like an eye. As you exhale, let the feeling sound from you, no matter how softly. And there's a lot there. And this flower is one of the ways I am living out loud. It is representative of a time in my life. Like going back on it, it seems so silly, but how often do we do this to ourselves, especially me? I can look back and see so many times where I would do something where I lived out loud, where it was like what it just said, where it was just so authentic to me and instantaneous. And then someone had something negative to say about it. And then I was startled out of that free expression. And then I rethought whatever I was doing and relabeled it as wrong. And then I started hiding those parts of myself. So now at this stage in my life, when my oldest is 18, my oldest child is 18, and he's just branching off into the world, I'm at a very interesting place where I'm going back to the childhood I never had, to those experiences, those things that made me me and still are me, but I started to bury and hide. So this flower, there's a little story I have with this, and I will try to keep it as discreet as possible. Because and if that person involved in that happens to see this, I mean, ill will whatsoever. It was totally on me. But I just wore this in a certain setting. And I just put a flower in my hair. I had been to Hawaii when I was 13. It was an incredible experience for the most part. I just wish I would have been with people who wanted to have more fun and not just shop all the time. Like, why would you go to a beautiful, gorgeous place and just shop? Insane. So I just wanted to explore and I did the best I could, but I just fell in love with the culture, the atmosphere there that is very like beautiful and colorful and free flowing. And there's not such rigidity like there is in other parts of America. And they have Hawaii time, which is basically you get there when you get there and deal with it. And it's kind of beautiful in a way. I don't know how practical that is for everyday life. So like that flower was just like a reminder to me of that whole thing. And I wore it in a time like it was at a time when I was a single mom with my now oldest, and he was very young. And I was struggling so bad behind the scenes with deep, deep levels of depression, living below the poverty line, all of these things. I was completely exhausted and my nerves were shot, and so many different things I was going through. And this was just one teeny little reminder to like literally stop and smell the flowers and that there is beauty in life. And it was my like desperate attempt to cling to it. So I just stuck it behind my ear and I went into this environment, and one particular person and another kind of joined in. It's like, why do you have a flower in your hair? And it was like met with that. I'm like, "Ugh, why not? Why not?" That was what was going on in my head. I'm like, I wanted to. I wanted to. But unfortunately, by the end of that day, I felt, you know, how we get sometimes. I just felt like obvious. And I'm so not a person that likes attention on myself. And growing up in the environment I did where I was openly humiliated and all these things exposed about myself, I've grown to hate the spotlight on myself even more. So that's where I started hiding these parts of myself, the color, the vibrancy, the life in me. And I think it seeped in a little too much. So I let someone else external dictate myself, my colors, my loudness, my volume. And I've been doing that my whole life. When we're young, we look to others for how to adjust and see what's right or wrong. And we are, psychologically speaking, we're wired to be pack animals, creatures, to fit in. That's for survival. And what I've been learning, especially lately, is that it's actually backwards for me and a lot of people I know. The people who are struggling the most in life are the people who are not meant to fit in. We are meant to be loud in different ways. And I think you can hear my voice. This is about as loud as I get. And it takes a lot of force for me to be louder than I am right now. And I hate being any louder. But like just the colors, this expression, the authentic self-expression. Um, like I have a nose ring and tattoos. So there's levels where I've done that. But um, like something as simple as a flower or color. Like this is not a color I have worn in a very long time. And I just like so much about my life, I started to mute. So much about the things that I think made me most me, I started to mute and turn vanilla. And I hate vanilla. Like if I see something that's white, I just want to like color it, put some color on it. And that's what I've noticed a lot of people have struggled with. A lot of my private conversations there's so many of us who have struggled with that. And one of the things that's been really beautiful and cathartic, healing in its own way, as I've started healing myself in this area, I've been able to help others through it too, and created some beautiful, powerful sessions of realigning with ourselves and having fun to um, get back in touch with our inner child and just color outside the lines and express ourselves. And it's such a beautiful thing to see in others. And at the same time, I'm starting to embrace that with myself. So that would be what I would leave you with here as you've listened to this, is just to take a moment and reflect on where you've been hiding parts of yourself and where you've been muting what needs to be expressed, where you've been vanillaing yourself and you need to be stripes and polka dots. and and just take a small step into that. And for me, it's a flower today and a bright shirt. And another part of that, like I was going to mention this too, like my hair. It seems a little silly too, but growing up in the early 2000s, this hair did not work. So the standard of beauty back then was stick thin females, and definitely looked the complete opposite of me. That was the culture and environment I grew up in the most sensitive time of my life as a teenager, when I was trying to figure out, when I was trying to come into my own, and everything around me told me I wasn't right. I wasn't right for the standard of beauty. I wasn't right for anything. And so that's where I started changing parts of myself, because what I thought was right or acceptable was the complete opposite. So I have logged so many hours, frustrating hours, trying to straighten this hair that is naturally wavy slash curly. And that was just the complete opposite of what the standard of beauty was back in the early 2000s. It was like flat ironed hair and crispy, you know, if you go back and look at it, all of the hair back then was pretty flat ironed. So I spent so much time trying to do that. And my hair would never stay straight for very long, maybe an hour if I was lucky, especially living in Florida with super frizzy hair. It was crazy. So just recently, like I had let go of the flat iron for a while and just kind of pulled my hair back. But then I was just getting back into that habit of wanting to straighten my hair to look better. And I caught myself. I was like, why? And I realized like um, there's so many beautiful women. Like I admire them. I love their hair. Every time I see them on screen, I'm like, oh, I love their hair. And it's all naturally curly and out there and big and loud. And that's the last time I was thinking, oh, I really need to straighten my hair. I wish, yeah, I need to do that. I caught myself because I'm like, why? Why? All I need to do is just like style it a little bit more, but let the natural stuff out. So this is also just a representation of that. Normally, I have kept my hair very straight or pulled back. And after almost 40 years of living, that's pretty insane, right? So that's just another thing. Like we can get so conditioned to these things that are so stupid, really, and spend so much time and effort. But there's so much freedom and joy when you just embrace how you actually are, your actual hair. And I can tell you, it is so much nicer to just put a little bit of product in there, scrunch it up, and like let it air dry and go, rather than all of this time trying to fit my hair into a box it was never meant to fit into, and my own self. And I'm going to extend that to you as well. Like, where, like, even the most silliest things, like, where have you been like changing pieces of yourself to try to fit into something that, if you really sat down and thought of it, like, why are you even doing that? Is that what you really want? And instead, if you shift that around and look at the people you actually admire, how are they actually living? How are they actually carrying and presenting themselves? And I think for me, I respect people more who have differences. I love the differences in people. I am more drawn to someone who is different. I don't want someone who's exactly like me, nor do I want someone who looks perfectly polished and put together because there is no way I can relate to that. And I'm attracted to color and life and freedom. And I don't want to have to play small anymore. So, where are you living small? And how can you shift to live out a little bit more loudly? What would that look like if you started to fully embrace your colors and live out loud? And how might you be blessed by that? How might those around you be blessed? So, that's the journey I'm on personally. And I'd love to hear where you're at in yours. And if you want to continue this conversation, I'd love to have you join me over on my Substack, and I will leave the link to that in the comments below. And to wrap this message up, I am wishing you so much love and light on your crazy, messy, loud, beautiful journey in life.